I pray you watching me. Hello, Mari. Oh, hello, everybody. It's Georgie. Oh boy. Getting very fallish. So I thought to relax, starting with my coffee, why not read Together Forever, Forever. We're gonna do some 10 Blind Dates, because I know that's everybody's favorite book. But also I have to send them back to the library soon. Like, these are not my books that I own. I don't own The Heir and 10 Blind Dates, so I have to send these back, soon. But yeah, we gotta figure out, what's going on with Margot and the baby. And are they gonna be okay? All right, let's do this.
Speech off.
Oh. Thursday, December 24th. Woo! Free day. I barely slept last night. There's been no chance to talk to Margot, but she did send me a text telling me not to worry. I talked to Mom for a while, and she kept asking the same thing. And she kept saying the same thing. Everything is going to be fine. Olivia is asleep in the big guest bed with me. The room is still mostly dark, with only a faint yellow light filtering in through the blinds, which highlights the rows of framed pictures on the opposite wall. My grandmother has a portrait done of every grandchild when they turn 2 years old. We're all dressed in really fancy little outfits that have our name monogrammed across the front, as if she knew in advance how full this wall would get. My eyes scan from one side to the other, stopping once I find Margot. Her dark hair is short, and she's got these little ringlet curls all over her head. Her smile is big, and her eyes are dancing. I wonder if Margot's baby will look like her when he or she is too. My throat clenches. I can't stay in this bed any longer. I slide out, careful not to wake Olivia, and tiptoe from the room. The house is quiet as I pass a pallet in the den full of my younger cousins, and I smile as I notice the tangle of arms and legs. I miss those uncomplicated days when our biggest concern was who was going to get stuck on the edge, where you were likely to end up off the pallet onto the hardwood floor without a pillow or a blanket, just like my little cousin Webb is right now. I pulled 2 blankets off the back of the couch, covering Webb in one and taking the other with me out to the front porch. Wrapping the blanket around me, then dropping down on the front steps, I lean back against the top step and watch the sky go from a deep blue to warm yellow-orange, and finally see the first edge of the sun peek out from the horizon. The air is just cold enough that I can see my breath when I exhale, but I'm warm, wrapped in the thick blanket. I glance at the house next door. It's probably a good thing that we were interrupted before we did anything stupid, I think. He's got a girlfriend, and I'm in the middle of a nervous breakdown and dating half the town. But I can't help but feel a small pang of regret. The morning has been so quiet that it's jarring to hear an engine barrel down the road, and even more disturbing when a familiar truck pulls up to the curb. Griffin has just parked in front of my grandparents' house. I'm frozen on the step as I watch him get out of his truck and walk up the brick path. His head is down and he seems to be mumbling to himself. I take these few seconds to stare at him. His brown hair is a little too long and it looks like he slept in the clothes he's wearing. The pang in my chest is as painful now as it was last Friday night at Matt's party. When he finally raises his head, he's so startled that he jumps back and yells loud enough to wake the neighbors. I can't help but stare at him. Even after everything that happened, my heart starts beating faster and my palms get sweaty. What are you doing here? I finally ask. Griffin takes a few steps toward me, but stops a foot or so away. You wouldn't talk to me, so I waited as long as I could. I have to talk to you. I tug the blanket even closer. After hearing about Margot, I feel like I'm about to fall apart, and seeing Griffin here is not making it any better. Half of me knows it would be so easy to close the distance between us, let him wrap his arms around me and chase away the sadness that seems to have settled just under my skin. It's easy to ignore him when he's 30 miles down the road. But seeing him here, looking at his sad face, is harder than I imagined it would be. I told you, I'm not ready to talk to you yet. Griffin puts one foot on the bottom step, but I hold my hand out, stopping him before he can come any closer. He digs his hands in his pockets and lets out a deep breath. Please, Sophie, give me 10 minutes. You can say what you want to say, but say it from down there. I stand and walk to the top of the steps. I need some distance to sort out the tug-of-war going on inside of me right now. I screwed up, Sophie. I knew it the second I saw your face. I spin around to face him. I heard you. You were so bummed I wasn't leaving town. But you're telling me that feeling anger that feeling changed 10 seconds later? He throws his head back and his hands come up in front of him. I'm saying that I'm going crazy, that I have been since you left Matt's, that I see these pictures of you with those guys and I want to rip their heads off. I mean, what is going on? There was a picture of you riding a mechanical bull in some formal dress, and then some crazy picture of you with his hands flail in front of him like he's trying to come up with the words. Lights! He finally bursts out. So you've been bothered by seeing pictures of me? And then, I add for emphasis, having fun. He blows out a deep breath and starts pacing the width of the sidewalk. I sit down on the top step and say, tell him, Sophie. I think you only want me back because you've seen me with other guys. Would you want me back if I had been tucked away in a room upstairs crying for the past 5 days? His forehead scrunches up. I texted you that I wanted to talk before I saw the first picture of you with someone else. But what about what you said that night? About how senior year should be fun? He runs a hand through his hair. I don't know. I mean, we've both been so focused on school and everything else came second. But the closer we get to graduation, the more I wonder about what we're missing. Oh, about what we've missed. This year is almost over, and everything is going to change, and I just don't know. It's hard to hear what he's saying. But it's even harder to realize there is some truth behind his words. Being with Olivia, Charlie, and Wes this week has reminded me that I used to be different. When we were the Fab Four, things were fun and easy. And then somewhere along the way, schoolwork and clubs and making sure my transcript was perfect took over. I went from one extreme to the other. And while I think Griffin may miss me, I don't think what he was feeling has really changed. Hearing you say what you did was really hard, but it made me start thinking too. I say, I guess we both have a lot to figure out. He moves up one step. I hate seeing you with other guys, but it's more than that. Don't throw what we have away. We can figure it out together. His voice has gotten louder, and I can't help but glance back at the front door. It would be so easy to get back with him. I can say yes, and it would be done. But how long would he be happy? Can I go back to how things were before? Is everything okay? Is everything okay? We both turn to see Wes standing in the grass just a few feet away. He's in gray pajama pants with little Santa hats all over them and a bright red t-shirt. Even with the thick tension hanging between Griffin and me, I want to giggle at his festive attire. His eyes go from me to Griffin and back to me. I heard yelling, he says. Griffin rolls his eyes. Yeah, man, it's fine. We're just talking. Uh-oh. Wes is still looking at me. I give him a small nod. Can we get a little privacy? Griffin asks. If you want privacy, you shouldn't have been yelling loud enough that I can hear you from next door. Griffin looks confused. This isn't one of your cousins. Wait, this isn't one of your cousins? God, I know I have a big family, but we've been together a year. You'd think he'd know my family by now. No, Wes is an old friend. And then I see recognition on his face. The picture of you dancing with him. I nod and look at Wes. It's all good. We're just talking. Wes stands there a few more seconds. He starts to walk away, then stops and asks, Any words on Margot and the baby? Griffin's head pops up. Did something happen? She's in the hospital, I say, then turn to Wes. I haven't heard from her yet. I haven't heard anything new. They're trying to control the swelling and stop her contractions. Wes gives me a small smile. She's tough. I know they're both going to be okay. And then he's gone. Hearing about Margot takes some of the bite out of Griffin. He drops down to the bottom stair. I'm sorry, Soph. I know how worried you must be. I mumble a thanks, and we're back to awkward silence. Finally, Griffin says, All I'm asking for is another chance. I don't want things to be over for us. You're going to have to let me think about it. There's so much that's happened in the last few days. I can't think straight. He nods. Do you plan on having any more dates while you're here? I picture the board in the kitchen. I could put an end to it. Tell Nana that Griffin and I are trying to work things out. But something is holding me back. So instead I tell Griffin about Nana's plan. And it's clear when I finish that Griffin isn't happy. So even though I'm here telling you that I want us to get back together, well, honey, it's not about you. You're still going to go on 6 more dates? I look him in the eye. I feel like I've learned more about myself in the last 4 than I have in the past 4 years. In the last 4 days than I have in the last 4 years. And it's not like I'm really looking forward to the upcoming dates. But I need to finish what I started. This is the moment. Either he's getting what I'm saying, or he'll be gone. I'm not sure what it says about us that I can't decide which way I want it to go. He gets up quickly, almost falling back down before righting himself. He paces up and down the front wall like he's trying to wrap his head around my words. Finally, he stops and turns toward me. I think we both got lazy. If you go back and look at early pics of us, I think you'll find you were as happy then as you look in the ones you were as happy in those. You were as happy then as you look in the ones being posted now. And I think we can get back to that place. At least that's what I want. I started to say something. What? I'm not even sure. But he held a hand up, stopping me. But I agree. You should finish what you started. Because you need to be 100% sure I'm what you want. He spins around and gets back in the truck. He's driving away before his words have even completely registered. Is he right? I keep thinking about how different these last few days have been, but what if it's because I'm not really remembering what things were like with us in the beginning? Is it fair to compare the excitement of a first date or 4 dates or the familiarity of a long-term relationship? It's only when I get up to head inside that I notice Wes sitting on the front porch steps, staring at the empty street. The day drags. My phone is glued to my hand, and I've almost worn a path across my grandmother's kitchen floor. She's watching me from her spot at the counter, but doesn't say anything. Both of us were supposed to go into work for a few hours, but neither of us could stand the thought of being there while we're supposed to be waiting on news about Margot. Instead, Nana is measuring ingredients and whatever else it takes to prepare tomorrow's massive meal. And I continue pacing. This new radio silence is killing me. I've already talked to Mom a few days, but all I've gotten is that there's nothing new. Didn't you have a lunch date today with Olivia's friend? Nana asks. I did, but I canceled. I can't go to lunch today. Nana lets out a humming sound, but doesn't look at me. I need you to run to the store for a few things, she says finally. I spin around. I can't go to the store. I need to stay here and wait for Mom's call. What do you need? For you. To get your mind off things. I roll my eyes and start pacing the room again. I'm not leaving right now. My phone rings an hour later, and it scares me so bad I drop it. It takes forever to find it underneath a side table. Mom's name flashes across the screen. Hello? I say, almost out of breath. It feels like my heart is beating out of my chest. Soph, she says. They've rushed Margot in for an emergency C-section. They should have the baby out in just a few minutes. Mom's voice sounds gravelly. Nana has stopped moving. Is she okay? Will the baby be okay? I can barely squeak out the words. They told us it's safer for Margot to deliver than to try to stop it from happening. There's a neonatal doctor and a nurse waiting to whisk the baby to their unit, and plenty of doctors and nurses that are caring for Margot. So there's no reason to think that everything won't be just fine. Except the fact that the baby is coming early. And until this morning, the goal was for Margot to get further along before delivering. I mean, is the baby ready? Even though I'm scared as hell, a sudden thrill runs through me. I can't believe Margot is about to be a mom, and I'm going to be an aunt. Will you call me as soon as you know something? Of course I'll call you soon. Of course I'll call you soon. Of course I'll call you soon, Mom says. Okay, tell Margot I love her. And can't wait to see the baby. Oh, sweetie, I will. And then the line goes dead. I catch Nana up. Is it possible to be terrified and excited at the same time? She comes up behind me and pulls my hair back, twisting it around her hand, just like she used to do when I was little. Her voice is soft when she answers. It's how I felt every time one of my children or grandchildren was born. And now a great-grandchild. It's amazing what doctors can do nowadays. 6 weeks is early, but not unheard of. I know, I mumble, but we haven't even had her baby shower yet. She wanted to get past Christmas. Well then, once we know if it's a boy or a girl, we'll just have to go shopping. I swore I'd never step foot in a store on Christmas Eve, but for this, I'm willing to change my mind. Nana is back at the stove, and I continue to stare at my phone. This will be the first time you've been a great-grandmother, I say. I didn't realize it until you just said it. How does that feel? Nana turns to face me. It feels pretty fantastic. Her face is beaming. And you'll be Aunt Sophia for the first time. Is that an X? Aunt Sophia sounds too formal. She can just call me Sophie. I had an Aunt Judy growing up, and we all called her Aunt Juju. So maybe you can be something cute like Aunt So-So. Sounds kind of silly, but it makes me smile thinking of a chunky little baby looking up at me with arms outstretched, asking for Aunt So-So to pick her up. My phone dings and I jump in my seat. I swipe on the message. It's a girl! I squeal. Nana claps her hands together, and I can see tears in her eyes. A girl! How wonderful! Mom says the baby was rushed to the neonatal unit, so she'll be sending a picture as soon as she gets one. Does she have a name yet? Nana asks. I text the question to Mom. Those bubbles jump, and then her reply comes. I'm so choked up I can barely get the words out. Anna Sophia. Anna Sophia. I'm gutted. That sweet baby has my name, and I don't even know what she looks like. What size are you looking for? The saleswoman asks me. Olivia and I are at the small baby store downtown. Thankfully, most of the people shopping on Christmas Eve are not shopping here. Well, good for us, I guess. She's just born today, but she's small. Barely 5 pounds. The woman's eyes get big. Follow me, over here. We have a preemie section that will probably have something in the size you need. Olivia and I hold up tiny little gowns. I could seriously take the clothes off some of my old dolls at home, and then they would probably just fit her. I know, I say. These little bloomers barely cover the palm of my hand. Then she gets distracted by a stand of breastfeeding products. Think Margot will need some of this nipple cream? She asks with a laugh. That's something she'll have to buy on her own. And seriously, after all this, it will be a miracle if I ever decide to have a baby. Well, it will be a miracle if Jake ever finds anyone willing to marry him. So you may have to share Anna and let me be her aunt too. It might be my only chance. I look at Olivia. I can definitely share her with you. We're close enough that she throws her arms around me and squeezes me close. We'll be the best aunts ever. Not like Aunt Patrice. I lean my head against hers. Not Aunt Maggie May. Or Aunt Maggie May. She laughs. Definitely not like her. In the end, we pick out 3 soft gowns that have an elastic opening at the bottom and a super soft pink blanket. Want me to wrap these? The saleswoman asks. Yes, please, I answer. While we wait, Olivia picks a miniature LSU cheerleader outfit. I forgot to ask how things went. With the college guy last night, she says and wags her eyebrows. That party was amazing. I saw all the pics, but did you like him? Did he say he wanted to go out again? She asks. I shake my head. No, he's kind of talking to someone else. Olivia looks bummed. Well, that stinks. I opened my mouth to tell her about Wes, but shut it again quickly. What would I say? I'm glad we're finally getting back to normal. But now let me screw it up by bringing up my almost kiss with Wes. And let's not forget that he has a girlfriend, I think. And I'm super confused about my ex-boyfriend. Yeah, probably best to keep all this to myself right now. The woman returns with my wrapped gifts, and we leave the store. Once we're back in the car, I stare at the picture that Margot sent me. As much as I've been dying to get a look at my niece, it's hard seeing her like this. Before I got this picture, I pictured her sidled in one of those white blankets with the pink and blue footprints on it, sleeping peacefully with rosy cheeks and full lips. The image that Margot sent makes me want to cry. The blanket is there, but Anna lying on top of it is just in her diaper. She's on her back, and her arms and legs are sprawled out, and there's tubes and wires and God knows what else attached to her. There's even a thin, clear tube stuffed in her nose for oxygen, I'm guessing. and there's tape across her cheek to keep the tube in place. An ID bracelet circles one ankle, while an impossibly small blood pressure cuff circles the other. I zoom in on her face and smile when I see the dark hair covering her head. Margot's husband is blonde and pale, and I was secretly hoping that she would look like our family. Her eyes are swollen shut, and her whole face looks sort of puffy. But she is gorgeous. I can't wait to see her. Margot didn't say much in her text, other than she's tired and sore, and Anna seems to be doing, quote, okay, which is not the word I want to hear when describing the health of my newborn niece. Mom told me they're both going to see the baby once. They both only got to see the baby once so far, but they're hoping to see her again soon. Olivia leans over to look at my phone at a red light, and I tilted in her direction. She looks so small, Olivia says. I mean, she's barely taking up a third of the plastic tub she's in. I promised Margot I would be there when the baby was born, I tell her. Then I say the thing that's been on my mind ever since I got the text from my mom. I'm thinking about going down there. This gets her attention. Today? Right now? I shrug. I just feel like I need to be there. I've actually already floated this idea past Mom, and she shot me down. Olivia's left eyebrow rises. Just the left one, and she gives me that look. You know I'm jealous, and you know I'm jealous you can do that, and I can't, I say. Sounds like you've got a plan brewing. Sounds like you've got a plan brewing, she says. I shrug. Maybe. I'm quiet a moment before adding, my parents don't want me to come because the traffic is dangerous on Christmas Eve, and the baby is in the NICU, so it's not like I can hold her anyway. And on, but I think I can go in, see Margot and Anna, and then get out without my parents seeing me. Olivia's eyes are huge. Hold up, she says, her gaze darting from the road to me. Let's talk this through. You're in a hospital in Lafayette, right? You mean the hospital in Lafayette, right? No, sorry. They're in the hospital in Lafayette, right? So it's 3 hours down there and 3 hours back. And if you stay, what letter is that? An hour? That's 7 hours. An hour, yeah, but it's a letter Q. An hour? That's 7 hours you're not here. And that's if nothing goes wrong. How are you going to hide from Nana that long? And what if when you get there, your mom is in Margot's room? You could get down there and never see her. Or be in massive trouble. I've thought about all these things, but I'm not deterred. If I leave at 9, I'll be there by midnight. I won't stay long, just long enough to see them. Mom and Dad won't be in there because Brad will be staying with Margot tonight. And if I head back, I'll be here before anyone wakes up. I can tell she's going to try to talk me out of it, so I add, listen, you can cover for me. The house will be packed, and you can run interference. No one will even miss me. She lets out a deep breath. You can't go alone. It's not safe. You'd be driving all night. She picks up her phone and calls Charlie, the call connecting over Bluetooth. Hey, he says, his voice filling the car. Your dumb cousin has a dumb plan and needs our help, Olivia says. I roll my eyes. I'm not doing anything for the Evil Joes. I'm not doing anything for the Evil Joes, and you know it. We both laugh. Not them, Olivia says. And hold on, I'm adding Wes to this call. I start to say no, but before I can get any words out, Charlie says, he's right beside me. I'll put you on speaker. So, Olivia continues, so hell-bent on sneaking out and driving to the hospital to see Margot and Anna and come back. I'm just letting you all know that we're going to be the one that we're all going with her so she won't kill herself by falling asleep at the wheel in the middle of the night. No, wait. You don't have to do that, I say, but Olivia waves me off. Only if I can control the music. Charlie says, oh, and the temperature in the car. I don't want to be sweating all over it. I don't want to be sweating all the way down there. And you'll owe me a favor. I can come with you whenever I want. No, sorry. I cash them in whenever I want. No questions asked. Olivia and I share a look. What time are we starting this journey? Wes asks. Around 9 after we've eaten, so Nana won't have any reason to be looking for us. I'll be ready, Wes says. Me too, Charlie says. This plan is something the old Sophie would have done. I like it. Well, Christmas Day tradition means we'll sit down to a formal meal at noon that includes all the traditional foods that you expect, like turkey dressing, green beans, sweet potato, casserole. Christmas Eve is the complete opposite. Olivia loves to celebrate our Sicilian roots, so the buffet is stretched out. No, sorry, not Olivia. Nana loves to celebrate their Sicilian roots, so the buffet is stretched out across the kitchen island, and it includes several different pasta dishes, eggplants, stuffed artichokes, and penne. I don't know what that is. There's an assortment of salami and cheeses. Salami. I do love salami. Dried fruits and olives. And there are also fig cookies, almond cookies, and cannoli. The tables are covered in red tablecloths and small white poinsettias that are sitting in clusters in the center. Christmas music plays in the background, but all of the songs are in Italian and seem like they were recorded in the 1950s. Jake and Graham wander into the kitchen and stop next to where Olivia and I are sitting against the wall. So I hear that jackass showed up here this morning, Jake says after swallowing a bite of a cookie. First thing Wes did was tell Charlie that Griffin came by. Then Charlie told Nana. And that's all it took to just captivate the phone tree. Yeah, he wanted to talk. Graham rolls his eyes. I never liked him. Please, Olivia said. You barely knew him. Let's just say it didn't take long for me to form my opinion, Graham said. Don't let him guilt you into getting back together, if that's not what you want, Jake said with a pointed look. Then he moved on to the cookie trays. Then they move on to the cookie trays. Most of my family have been heaping unwanted advice onto me all day. I could strangle Wes for telling them that Griffin showed up here. Charlie slides into the chair next to Olivia. We can't take my truck. I'm almost empty. I shush him and scan the room, but everyone is laughing and talking and not paying any attention to us. We're taking my car, I say. Our cover story is that Charlie, Olivia, and I are going to Wes's to binge watch Christmas movies. We've talked Sarah into distracting anyone who comes looking for us. It's not a great plan, with the house being filled to capacity, but hopefully all the adults being overserved. It's not likely anyone will be hunting us down. In fact, I'm expecting them to fall into a food coma within the hour. 20 minutes later, the three of us head to the street where my car's parked. Wes is sitting on the hood, waiting for us. Let me just check how much farther till this chapter is over. Oh, this chapter is so goddamn long. What the fuck? There. Who's driving? Charlie asks. It'll be safest if we switch off every hour and a half. Wes says as he jumps off my car. So two of us will take turns on the way down, and two of us when we get home. You should have been a Boy Scout, Charlie says. I know. I was a Boy Scout, Wes replies, and so were you. Wes and I reached the door to the back seat at the same time. I know we're both trying to do the same thing. Save our turn for the worst shift. The one that'll bring us home in the early hours of the night in the morning. You drive first, I say. He shakes his head and smiles, his hand reaching for the handle. No, I'm beat. I really need to nap right now. Charlie and I can take turns driving us back. Charlie moans. I try to push his hand away, but he's latched on too tight. We're close. Not as close as we were last night, but still closer than we should be. That's not right. This was my idea. There's no reason for you to be all up all night. His head tilts, but he doesn't say anything. His hand is firmly in place. Charlie mumbles from the other side of the car. If y'all are gonna stand here all night, I'll just go back in for another slice of Nana's cassata. You drive first, Wes whispers. I take one good look at my grown parents' house, every light blazing before moving away from him and sliding into the driver's seat. Charlie in the back, Olivia says. We're driving first. How am I going to control the radio from back here? He asks as he opens the back seat door. This is not the trip I was promised. Wes looks at me in the rear-view mirror as I put the car into drive. We'll nap on the way there, and I'll let Charlie listen to whatever he wants. We're good. Charlie squirms around in the small back seat, trying to find a somewhat comfortable position while Wes slouches in the corner of the seat and the door. Every time I check the review mirror, he's right there. Not distracting at all. I pull away from the curb while Olivia tries to find something other than Christmas music on the radio. She doesn't have much luck. It's a straight shot down I-49. Watch for cops going through Alexandria. It'll be hard to explain a ticket to your dad, Olivia says. I nod and try to focus on the road. This is going to be the longest night of my life. We're only on the road for about 10 minutes before Charlie starts complaining. It's too hot back here, and this song sucks. Olivia rolls her eyes and stretches the aux cord to the back seat. Play whatever you want. Charlie plugs it into his phone, and then for like 10 minutes, some old twangy country song blares through the speakers. The rest of us groan. What? Charlie says. This is a great song. No, it's not, I said. You have terrible taste in music. You do, Olivia says to Charlie. You love those Lifetime movie songs. What does that even mean? Charlie says. Olivia holds out her hand for the phone, and he passes it to her. The ones that could be the soundtrack for any Lifetime movie? She takes a minute to pull up a familiar tune to fill the air. Olivia talks over the music. See, this one is from Rags to Riches. Story with a hint of prostitution. It's about a poor mom and 2 daughters. One daughter is too young and sick, but the oldest is just old enough, and she's pretty. So the mom is thinking that the only way for her to get out of the poorhouse is to put a red dress on and find a sugar daddy. Poor Fancy. Wes and I crack up. She skips to another song. Before the first one even finishes, I recognize it the second I hear the words. And this one is a typical survivalist story. If the world ends, all of the city folks are toast. But if you're a country boy, you'll survive. Not only will you be able to put food on the table, but you'll use your manners while doing it. She skips to another one. And this one is a typical learning from your elders bit. I mean, it's literally about an old gambler teaching a young gambler how to be a better gambler. They're smoking and drinking, and they're on a train. Now she's even got Charlie laughing. Okay, he says, but they're still really good songs. We spend the next 30 miles going through Charlie's playlist and trying to match overused tropes to each one. Charlie finally unplugs his phone from the cord. You think you ruined these for me, but you haven't. Olivia flips on the radio, and we're back to Christmas tunes. What's up with Uncle Ronnie? I ask. He basically ran out of the kitchen when Nana brought in the cannoli. Olivia let out a laugh. He refuses to eat them. Why? I said. That's the best thing she makes. Because of us, Wes says. I glance at him quickly in the mirror, and he's watching me right back. Us? What did we have to do with them? Charlie leans forward and answers. Remember when we found that powder in Papa's medicine cabinet that makes you go to the bathroom? Oh my God! I squeal. Yep, Wes says. Freshman year, we were trying to get the Evil Joes back for something. I can't even remember what it was. So we thought it would be hilarious to put some of that powder in their drinks. Except, we poured it in Uncle Ronnie's glass instead. And because we're poor communicators, we all took a turn adding it to his drink, not realizing the other three had done the same. Needless to say, Uncle Ronnie was stuck in the bathroom for a while, but that was only one time. 3 years ago, and the cannoli had nothing to do with it. He remembers. She made a huge batch that night, and he stuffed himself with them. And that's what he thinks did it, Olivia says. Oh, that's terrible. I can't help the giggle that escapes. Charlie shrugs. More for us. Wes leans forward. Charlie and I have been trying to get him to eat one for the past year, but every time we mention it, he turns green. Wes turns toward Charlie and says, "Remember when we bet him the Saints would beat the Cowboys, and that if they won, we told them that he would have to eat a cannoli? Yes, and he made Aunt Patrice eat it for him." Wes's eyes met mine in the mirror. We've been trying to get him over it, but the guy just won't budge. He was in the bathroom for a really long time, Olivia adds. Speaking of pranks, I say, anyone ready to fess up about who faked that love note to me from Ben down the street? Olivia, Charlie shouts. Charlie, Wes shouts. Charlie, Wes shouts. Wes, Olivia shouts. Someday I'm gonna figure out who did it, I say with a grin. Y'all knew I had a crush on him, and I made a fool of myself when I rode my bike to his house with a platter full of those key lime pie cookies to tell him how much I loved his letter. I had helped Nana make some cookies for Ben's mom's book club the week before. So when I got a letter saying how much he loved those cookies, I made a double batch and raced them to his house. He looked like a deer in the headlights. They're all cracking up. That's okay. I'll figure it out and get you back. Since you'll have to hang out with us to get us back, I welcome your revenge, Charlie says, then begs us to change the station.